Hello, everybody. I'm Utsav and I recently moved to Tokyo. Today, I would like to tell you why I decided to live outside Tokyo's 23 wards in a place called Higashimurayama. So, when I moved to Tokyo, everyone I spoke to advised me to look for a place where I can find other people from my country, or at least people who speak English. However, I decided to rent an apartment in a place where it's quite rare to encounter a foreigner. Despite the warnings, my experience has been positive. And therefore, I would like to share it with you in the hope that in case you or someone you know are looking for a place to live in Tokyo long term, you would be made aware of all the options out there. So, first of all, the rent here is much lesser and it's easier to afford a larger flat. My apartment is 75 meter squares, which is sprawling by Japanese standards, and I pay only 100,000 yen a month, including maintenance. A similar place in Edogawa or Toshima or Ikebukuro would cost me at least 200,000. Point number two, the place is beautiful. There's a kind of serenity in the air, there's a kind of quietness, there's a lot of greenery wherever you go. And the best thing is, the view from my own balcony is this breathtaking sight of Fujisan. Imagine not having to go anywhere and being able to see Japan's highest mountain in all its glory round the year from your own balcony. Number three, the place lies on the Seibu Shinjuku line, and Shinjuku is 30 minutes away by a direct train. So, what this means is if you have a workplace which is in Shinjuku or in Shibuya, like my own workplace which is in Roppongi, uh, it's very convenient. You can take a direct train from here and then you reach Shinjuku, and from there it's hardly 30 minutes or less than that to whichever place in the center of the town you want to go to. Or if there's a meet up with friends, or you just want to go there for shopping or for any other reason, it's conveniently connected to the center of the town by a direct train, so that's useful. uh, Point number four, the gym costs half of what it would cost in Shibuya, and the facilities are in certain ways better. So what I mean by that is, before I moved here, I was a member at a gym in Shibuya, and the subscription charges for 1 month there was 17,000 yen. And now I have moved to this place and I'm a member of a gym franchise here, and I pay around 5,500 yen a month. And if you look at the facilities are, you know, in certain ways better than what I had at the gym in Shibuya. So, one thing to consider as a comparative example is that the shower cubicles that I had in the gym in Shibuya would be one third the size of the shower room that we have here, maybe one fourth. Also, there are lesser people working out at this gym, which means that you have more time with the equipments, and there's a greater likelihood that when you go to work out at the gym, you would be able to complete your workout in a shorter span of time, since you will not have to wait on any equipment because it's occupied and being used by someone else. So that's another advantage of living in a place which is not very crowded, and where the number of clients at a gym would be far lesser in comparison to the center of the town. The next point that I want to talk about is a little more subtle, and it's a little difficult to grasp it instinctively. Therefore, I'd like to explain this a little bit. The people here are incredibly nice. Now, what do I mean by that? Japanese people are nice in general. They're kind, they're nice, they're polite to everybody. But what I mean here is that they are a little nicer than they would be to you, say, if you were living in Shinokubo or in Shinjuku. What is the reason for that? This is because there are not many non Japanese people who live here. The Japanese are generally nice to others, and they have a certain way of behaving with each other. This can change in a place which becomes overtly cosmopolitan on a relative basis, say Shibuya, Shinokubo, Shinjuku, these places, where the natives expect to encounter a lot of foreigners and might therefore be more guarded in their conversations. Here, you are just the only non native they might meet in the day, and they extend the same courtesy to you as they do to the others. So, for example, if you go to a restaurant and you order some food, now the people who are managing that restaurant, of course, they might not follow your language if you don't speak Japanese, but they do not expect to see someone like you. They have not seen someone like you in their day to day work. they see people who are like them all the time, and they are very nice to them. So if you are the only exception, if you're not creating any trouble for them, then they'll extend that same courtesy to you that they have been extending to the other Japanese clientele. So that's the important point that you need to consider. And I have been a recipient of this kind of warmth and uh, you know kindness and politeness, and I've been grateful for that. Point number 6, in case you're wondering if you're living a little far away, will food be a problem? In case you don't want to cook yourself, you want to eat out, I want to assure you that's not a problem. You have plenty of restaurants that serve a wide variety of cuisine here. So there's Thai food, there's Indian food, Korean food, Chinese food, and all varieties of Japanese food. So you have ramen, you have curry, you have steaks, you have, you know, what's that? Yakitori, the barbecue. So you have everything. Food is something that you really don't need to worry about. Now, is there any disadvantage of taking this step of living somewhere which is outside the 23 wards? Well, uh, there there is one thing that I can think of. The only downside that I can think of is the language barrier, which is a little more pronounced here. However, if one wants to live in Japan long term, I think it is essential, at least in my view, to pick up at least conversational skills in Japanese. Moreover, there's Google Translate, which is, of course, a lifesaver. There's one point that I haven't touched upon in everything that we have discussed, because it's something that you do not think about every day, but if you're living here long term, that's also something to pay attention to. And that is about, you know, the likelihood of suffering great damage in case of a natural disaster like a tsunami or an earthquake. So even in that regard, the place where I stay, Higashimurayama, is better placed to handle a natural disaster like that than, say, a place like Edogawa, because this is quite a distance away from the sea. Um, it's not around the Tokyo Bay area, which actually is in a low-lying zone. Parts of that area is under sea level, and therefore, if there's a tsunami, um, it is at great risk of suffering great damage. And the other thing is that there's lesser construction here. There are lesser buildings. Buildings are not as tall, and therefore the likelihood of a lot of damage from an earthquake, although there, of course, that can't be ruled out, is still lesser in comparison. So that's also something to think about. So that's all, actually, and these are all the reasons that make me feel very happy to have moved to this place. And I thought I'd like to share this with you because it might end up helping someone who is looking to rent an apartment somewhere in Tokyo. That's it from me today. I hope the information on this video helped you. If you have any comments or if you have any questions about living in Tokyo or moving to Tokyo or about anything that we have discussed today, feel free to leave them in the comment section. Thank you very much, and have a good day.